Hello students, welcome to Plus 2 Political Science class. Today I will continue lesson 6 and the topic of day 9 is comparison of US Senate with other second chambers. Students, this covers your pages from 236 till 242. The objectives of lesson 6 are divided into 10 days. As already I told you, today I will be discussing day 9 topic, that is comparison of US Senate with other second chambers. The objectives of day 9 are divided like this. First, I will introduce the Senate, then comparison of US Senate with the Indian Rajya Sabha and comparison of US Senate with the British House of Lords. You know why I have taken the names of Senate, Rajya Sabha and House of Lords? Because these all three are the upper houses of their countries. I will compare these three houses in the matter of lawmaking powers, financial powers, executive powers, and other general comparison will be there. The other objectives are factors responsible for making the US Senate as the strongest second chamber in the world. Under this, I will talk about 8 points, that is small size, long tenure, quasi-permanent character, then direct election, wider representative base of a senator, special powers of a senate, equal lawmaking powers, senate's freedom of speech. And finally, I will talk about lawmaking procedure in the US Congress, that is its main features I will talk. Now, before the discussion of this topic, I will discuss the key terms with you. Students, there are some key terms which have been already discussed with you. That is joint session, money bills, indirect elections, House of Representatives, US Senate, CTBT, Court of Impeachment, and Joint Conference Committee. These have been already discussed with you. Now, today I will discuss other key terms which are coming in the lecture. The first key term is ambassador. Through an example, I will make you clear. Ajit Kumar is the ambassador and permanent representative of India to the United Nations Office and other international organizations at Geneva in Switzerland. So you see, Mr. Ajit Kumar is living at Geneva in Switzerland and he is representing India in all the offices which are at Geneva in Switzerland. You know which agencies of UNO have their offices at Geneva in Switzerland? You have done in detail in class 10th also. Come on, tell me. Yes, that's WHO, means World Health Organization, and ILO, International Labour Organization. So, what is an ambassador? An ambassador is an official envoy, especially a high ranking diplomat who represents a state and is usually accredited to another sovereign state or to an international organization as the representative of their own government appointed for a special diplomatic assignment. The next key term is privileges. The example is members of Senate, Rajya Sabha and House of Lords enjoy various privileges. Students, the detailed discussion I will do when I will discuss it in the lecture. But now I will tell you the meaning of privileges. A special right, advantage or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group. This is privilege. So privilege comes from the Latin word privilegium, meaning a law for just one person and means the benefit enjoyed by an individual or a group beyond the others. The next is sovereign. For example, India became sovereign on 15th August 1947. Yes, students, otherwise we use the word India became free. But as per your subject is concerned, political science, we are to use the word sovereign. So, what is sovereign? It means under the international law, a sovereign nation has a defined territory with just one government. These nations have a permanent population and can enter into relations with other sovereign countries. The United Nations has a list of all the world's sovereign states. At present, there are 193 sovereign states which are members of UNO. The next is presidential cabinet. The example is President Joe Biden's cabinet includes Vice President Kamala Harris and the heads of the 15 executive departments, that is, the secretaries of Agriculture, Commerce, Defense, Education, Energy, Health, and Human Services, etc. So, the Cabinet of the United States is a body consisting of the Vice President of the United States and the heads of the executive branch in the federal government of the United States, which is regarded as the principal advisory body to the President of the United States. Now, before the discussion of my today's lecture, I must take your previous knowledge testing. Yesterday, I discussed the topic, that is the US Senate powers and functions. Under this, I discussed some terms also with you. First term is filibuster. Come on, tell me the meaning of filibuster. Yes, filibuster is a parliamentary procedure where one or more members of a legislature debate over a proposed piece of legislation to delay or entirely prevent a decision being made on the proposal. Yes, students, this is very, very important to understand. This filibuster system is not in India, it is in US. US legislature follows this system. In India, it's totally opposite to this. In India, the Speaker of Lok Sabha allows the time, date, he fixes the date and allows the time to any member to ask the questions to the executive body. So no one can speak unnecessarily or for unlimited time in India. But this filibuster is in US. Next question is, how many states are there in US and how many members does each state send to the US Senate? This, I think so, you must remember it. I discussed it through an example that US flag has 50 stars. So there are 50 states in US. And how many members does each state send to the Senate? That also very common. It's a similar. There is a similarity. Means all states send two members to the Senate. Next is, what is the minimum age required to be a member of Senate? Yes, students, this we can compare with the Indian Rajya Sabha. Senate is upper house, Rajya Sabha is also upper house. So the minimum age required is 30 years. The next question is, for how many years must be a person be a resident of United States to contest the elections for the Senate? For how many years he must be resident? So this I told you, he must be resident for at least 9 years. Next is, what is the tenure of the Senate and the tenure of senators? Yes, students, you are to be very, very alert while attempting such questions. These are some twisted questions, like tenure of Senate. Here you must tell tenure is of Senate is it's nothing, like it's a permanent house. It never dissolves. But senators have tenure. That's a 6 years. One third of the members retire after every 2 years. Next is, who is at present the Vice President of US? That is Kamala Harris. Next is, how does the Senate check the President? Give an example. We have done already that President of US, if he signs any treaty or he appoints the members of his executive body, they must be approved by the US Senate. So this is how the Senate checks the president. Next is, name the US president against whom the impeachment proceedings started in 2021, and that's Donald Trump. So against whom the proceedings started? but it could not be done. Now I will come to day 9 topic, that is comparison of US Senate with other second chambers. Now I will give an example of the second chambers of the world. Like Indian second chamber is called the Rajya Sabha. Great Britain second chamber is called the House of Lords, and US second chamber is called the Senate. So while the second chambers in the other democratic political systems of the world are less powerful than their lower houses and serve a limited purpose, the US Senate, despite being an upper house, is more powerful than the House of Representatives. Yes, students, House of Representatives is the lower house in US and the Senate is the upper house. But still, Senate is more powerful than the House of Representatives. So, when we compare the Senate with the second chambers of the other prominent legislatures of the world, we find the Senate more powerful. So, I will talk about this in detail in the chapter today's lecture, that how it makes it more powerful. First, I will do the comparison of the US Senate with the Indian Rajya Sabha. So these two countries' upper houses will be compared. Both the Rajya Sabha and the US Senate are the upper houses of their respective political system. The Rajya Sabha is called the Council of States and represents the interest of 28 states of Indian Union. Yes, I think so. We know today in India there are 28 states, and the members of Rajya Sabha represent the interest of these states because Rajya Sabha members are from the states. The US Senate also represents the 50 states of the US Federation in the US political system. So same way, US has 50 states, the US Senate represents the interest of the 50 states. But the composition and position of these two houses differ from each other. The US Senate has more powerful position than the position of Rajya Sabha in the Indian political system. Now this is, we are to know how it is more powerful than the Indian Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha is an indirectly elected house, which is more in name than in reality represents the states of Indian Union. Yes, this is fact. In name only, the Rajya Sabha represents the interest of the Indian states. It has equal ordinary law-making powers with Lok Sabha, but the joint session method of the conflict resolution between the two houses favors the Lok Sabha. So in India, we have the joint session system also. Suppose an ordinary bill is introduced in any house, but the other house rejects it. So what does it? There is a deadlock, and deadlock situation can be solved only and only by the joint session. If the bill is of the Lok Sabha member, obviously in joint session, it will be passed through the members of the Lok Sabha. So joint session method is a method where the conflict resolution is there in favor of the Lok Sabha. In respect of money bills, the Rajya Sabha has nearly a 14 days delaying power. It has little control over the executive as the cabinet is responsible to the Lok Sabha only. In these respects, it is definitely less powerful than the US Senate. As I told you, US Senate is the most powerful upper house of the world. But Indian Rajya Sabha is not so such powerful even if we compare it with the Indian Lok Sabha only. Indian Rajya Sabha cannot introduce the money bill, and it can keep it only for just 14 days. It can't keep it for more than 14 days. And the executive, that is the Council of Ministers, is responsible only and only to Lok Sabha. During the question hour, 0 hour, the questions can be asked, but only by the members of Lok Sabha to the ministers sitting in the Lok Sabha. So makes the Lok Sabha more powerful than the Rajya Sabha. The next given points will show that US Senate is stronger than not only the lower house of the US Congress but also stronger than all the upper houses of almost all the political system. Yes, now you will come to know that how the US Senate is more powerful than other houses of the world. The example is in India, the elections for the upper house is indirect elections. As this is very common to you, you must be knowing that upper house in India, Rajya Sabha members are elected, but not that through direct election system. They are elected indirectly, and each state sends as many representatives to the Rajya Sabha as stands fixed by the Constitution of India on the basis of the size of population of each state. Big states send more representatives and small states send less number of representatives to the Rajya Sabha. I can tell you it through an example, like Punjab sends only 7 members, whereas UP sends 31 members, and northeastern states send only one member each state. This all is according to the population of the state. But the US Senate is directly elected by the people of each state of the US Federation, and the people of each state select their two representatives as the members who represent it in the Senate. So you see, here I have talked about the two differences. First is method of election. Indian Rajya Sabha is elected indirectly, but US Senate is elected directly. Second is Indian Rajya Sabha members are number is according to the population of the state. Like northeastern state, each state sends only one member. Like Punjab sends 7 members, Uttar Pradesh sends highest, that is 31 members. But in US Senate, each state sends same number of members, that's 2 members. So this is what the comparison of US Senate with Indian Rajya Sabha. The second point is the Rajya Sabha is less powerful than the Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha acts as the delaying house in respect of the financial legislation. It can keep the money bill just for maximum period of 14 days. In the US, no doubt, the money bill is introduced in the House of Representatives, but their final shape and draft is determined by the US Senate. So, students, you see, in the money bill matters, if we compare both the countries' upper houses, Rajya Sabha and US Senate, the thing is, money bill can't be introduced in both the houses, both the countries. Money bill can't be introduced neither in Rajya Sabha nor in the Senate. But Rajya Sabha can keep it only for 14 days. But US Senate has complete power to make unlimited number of changes and give it a final shape and new shape, you can say, to the money bill. So final shape is determined by the US Senate. In the US, the president cannot really appoint any higher level official, including the members of presidential cabinet, without the senatorial approval. This is the special power of the US Senate to keep a check upon the president's dictatorial powers. Yes, you see, Senate is more powerful, which checks the US president also. You know that when president makes the appointments to the presidential cabinet, this is checked by the US Senate. It needs the approval of the US Senate. So this way US Senate checks the US president. The next example how the US Senate checks the president is the CTBT, means Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, in 1999, after the approval by the President, was disapproved by the Senate. You see, it's very important to see. The President has approved, but the Senate disapproved. So, what does it mean? It means all the treaties made by the US President require senatorial approval by two-third majority. It's not small thing, two-third majority. It means 66%. No treaty can be put into practice without ratification of the US Senate. This makes US Senate very powerful house. The next example is impeachment process against the President Donald Trump in 2020. Senate alone sits as the court of impeachment for hearing and finally deciding the fate of impeachment trial of the US president. So you see, in 2020, the impeachment process started against, against Donald Trump, but it could not be passed because it needed the approval of the Senate. Okay. The next is the Indian Rajya Sabha enjoys limited powers. Even special powers of the Rajya Sabha are of less value when compared with the special powers of the US Senate. The US Senate enjoys a very powerful position in the political system of the USA. In 3 points, I will make you clear how US Senate enjoys very powerful position in the political system. First is it is often said that there are several things which are done by the US President and US Senate. And second is there are several other things which the US Senate and US House of Representatives do together. And third is but there are only a few things which can be done without US Senate. So you see which house or which body is common in all the 3 points whose approval is a must to get without taking the decision. That is the US Senate. US Senate's decision is must before taking any decision. Now I will do the comparison of US Senate with the House of Lords. As already I have discussed the US Senate comparison with Indian Rajya Sabha, that's upper house of India. Now I will compare it with upper house of UK, means United Kingdom. It's known as the House of Lords. The British House of Lords is the biggest second chamber, and the US Senate enjoys the position of being the strongest second chamber in the world. Yes, students, you must see the key words here. This is very, very important for your understanding. The British House of Lords is the biggest and the US Senate is the strongest. So both are the key words. This is biggest and strongest. You must underline such keywords in your exams. It will give weightage to your answers. The Senate is constituted by directly elected representatives of the states. The House of Lords is undemocratic and nominating chamber of the British Parliament. So this is very big difference between the two. Both are upper houses, but Senate consists of the directly elected members, but House of Lords consists of the nominated members. All are nominated members. It is biggest house but of nominated members. The Senate is small house of 100 directly elected members. The House of Lords, on the contrary, is a big house with 725 members with nomination by the king. King or queen, whosoever is a monarch, nominates the members to the House of Lords. Now I will compare both the upper houses in various functions. First is lawmaking powers. The Senate is co-equal house enjoying vast and effective lawmaking powers. Any ordinary bill can be initiated in it. No bill can become a law until and unless it has received the consent of both the houses. The Senate has an effective and equal share in lawmaking powers. Now let's come to the House of Lords. The House of Lords can delay a non-money bill only for a month. It cannot prevent the passing of an ordinary bill. It acts merely as a delaying house. So you see, the House of Lords has no power in concern to even ordinary bill. It, it is only a delaying house. It can delay the ordinary bill only for a month. And the US Senate is very important house. The assent or the confirmation of the US Senate is must before a bill is to be passed. Okay. The next is financial powers. No money bill can be introduced in the House of Lords. This is common between U.S. Senate and U.S. This United Kingdom House of Lords. It can only consider the money bill which come to it after these have been passed by the House of Commons. Means House of Commons introduces it, passes it, and it comes to the House of Lords. It can never reject them nor amend them like the Indian Rajya Sabha. The same is the condition of Indian Rajya Sabha also. Here in India also, money bill cannot be introduced in Rajya Sabha. Money bill is always introduced in the Lok Sabha. Afterwards, it goes to the Rajya Sabha, and Rajya Sabha cannot reject it or amend it. Rajya Sabha is simply to pass it within 14 days. So it has to pass the bills within 1 month. It has means House of Lords. It has to pass the bills within 1 month or for having received them from the House of Commons. So when the House of Commons passes the bill to the House of Lords, then House of Lords can keep only and only for 1 month. But let's see what is the condition of US Senate. The US Senate in comparison is a powerful house, except for the limitation that money bill cannot be introduced in it. The Senate has every power to modify and change the contents of a money bill. Senate determines the final shape of every money bill. So you see, this thing is there that US Senate cannot introduce the money bill. But otherwise, US Senate is very powerful in the money bill matter also. It can modify or change all the contents of the money bill. So this is makes the US Senate very powerful house of the world. Next is executive powers. The the UK House of Lords has little direct control over the executive. Control over the executive means over the ministers. The British executive is responsible to the House of Commons, means lower house. Lords can merely influence or put pressure upon the government through their speeches and criticism of governmental policies. The US Senate, on the other hand, exercises direct control over the appointments and treaties made by the President. Without senatorial approval, neither the appointments made by the President nor the treaties concluded by him become valid and operative. So you see, in both the conditions, here we are talking about the control over the executive. Now, in UK House of Lords has no power to control the executive. Means there is no question hour or 0 hour. Means they cannot remove the ministers from their seat. They cannot do anything any control over them. But in US Senate has complete control over even over the president of the US. The treaties made by US President and the appointments made by the US President needs the approval of the US Senate. Next is general comparison. Overall, it is the Senate enjoys co-equal powers with the House of Representatives in the constitutional matters. The two houses together can propose amendments to the Constitution. In Britain, the amendment making is done like an ordinary law making, which is dominated by the House of Lords. So you see, it is general comparison. So while power of British House of Lords has been continuously declining, the power of the US Senate has been continuously increasing. So you see the comparison if we make the House of Lords, upper house of Great Britain and upper house of US Senate, the comparatively US Senate is now increasingly, its power is now increasing. Now, I will talk about the factors responsible for making the US Senate as the strongest second chamber in the world. The first point is its small size. The Senate is a small house of 100 members. Each state is represented by two senators. The senators act as the ambassadors of their state and population. It helps it to carry out its business systematically and effectively. The small size makes it possible for the senators to know one another and carry out the work of the House effectively. Yes, students, as you know, in UK Upper House, House of Lords, there are 725 members, but in US Upper House Senate, there are just 100 members. So it is easy for them to know each other, to work for their departments, to work for their area, that's the states. So this small size makes the US Senate powerful house. The second is long tenure. The senators have a long tenure of 6 years. Yes, 6 years, no doubt in India also, Rajya Sabha members are there for 6 years. But in the US, there is lower house, House of Representatives. You know what is the tenure of the members of House of Representatives? That's just 2 years. So if we compare both the houses, the lower houses members are for just 2 years and the upper house members are for the 6 years. Once elected, a senator remains a senator for 6 years. The longest tenure and the convention of re-electing able and efficient senators time and again together provide a good opportunity to them to understand and carry out the work effectively and secure their interests through necessary legislation. The next point is quasi-permanent character. The Senate is quasi-permanent and ever-continuing house of the Congress. It never gets dissolved as a whole. Like in Indian Rajya Sabha also, the Rajya Sabha never dissolves as a whole body. You know, one third of its member retire after every 2 years. So same way, only its one third members are elected after every 2 years. The two-third members continue as before. Obviously, when one third are retired, the remaining two-third will continue. So long tenure and continuity of presence is a source of experience for the senators and efficiency for the Senate. The next point which makes the Senate very powerful house is special powers of the Senate. The following special powers of the Senate has provided it high status in the US constitutional system. Like the Senate alone has the power to approve or disapprove the appointments made by the President. This the point we have just now done. The appointments made by the presidents need the approval of the US Senate, and Senate alone has the power to ratify the treaties concluded by the president, and Senate alone acts as a court of impeachment while removing the president, the vice president, judges and other officers from office. So Senate represents the states of the federation and each state sends two members to the Senate. So this way, the Senate becomes more powerful because this has only the power to finalize all the appointments made the president, to finalize all the treaties signed by the president, and it can only act as a court of impeachment. The next is Senate's freedom of speech. Now, members of both the houses of Congress enjoy the privilege of absolute freedom of speech. While talking the key terms, I told you that I will discuss the privileges. So, which privilege they enjoy? That's a freedom of speech. However, this privilege is of advantage to the senators. The senator has only 100 members. They therefore get the advantage of more time to speak than the members of the lower house, in which 435 of them shared the time. You know, time is same. If members are less, they will get more time to speak. If members are more, each member will get less time to speak. So this freedom of speech helps the senators, which is the upper house, and members are less. So this also makes the Senate powerful house. The next is lawmaking procedure in the US Congress. The two houses of the US Congress, that is the House of Representatives and the Senate, together initiate and pass bills which become law when signed by the President. A mayor for lawmaking has to undergo several stages before it secures passage from the Congress. Now, what are the lawmaking features in US? That's the Congress is a non-sovereign legislature. It is bound by written and supreme US Constitution. You know why we call it non-sovereign legislature? Because it is to make the laws according to the US Constitution. Even Indian Parliament is also non-sovereign because it is also to legislate on the subjects given in the Constitution. The but if we say about the UK Parliament is sovereign because they don't have written constitution. Okay, the Congress can make laws only on the federal subjects as laid down by the US Constitution. In theory, both the houses of the Congress have equal lawmaking powers. The bill has to undergo several procedures involving several stages before getting passed. In case of any disagreement between the two houses of the US Congress, Joint Conference Committee of the two houses is constituted to dissolve the deadlock. Money bills can be introduced only in the House of Representatives. After getting passed, these go to the Senate, which can make any amendment in them. So this already I have talked to you. As far as money bill is concerned, three countries upper houses I have talked with you: India, UK, USA. The upper houses don't have the power to introduce the money bill, but they can't even make any change in the money bill as far as India and UK are concerned. But in USA, the upper house, that's the Senate, can make unlimited changes, that's amendment in it. The laws of the Congress are subject to judicial review power of US Supreme Court. Yes, this is very important. Judicial review power in US is automatic. Means every law passed by US Senate or US House of Representatives, after that it goes to the court. Supreme Court approves it and then it becomes final. So this is the power of judicial review. So students, I have discussed with you the comparison of US Senate with other houses. So today I discussed with you about the US Senate, then comparison of US Senate with the Indian Rajya Sabha, then comparison of US Senate with British House of Lords. Under this, I discussed 4 points: that's lawmaking powers, financial powers, executive powers, and then I talked about the general comparison. Now, the other things I discussed is factors responsible for making the US Senate as the strongest second chamber in the world. Under this, I discussed 8 points: that's its small size, long tenure, quasi-permanent character, direct election, wider representative base of the senator, special powers of the Senate, equal lawmaking powers, Senate's freedom of speech. And finally, I talked about lawmaking procedure in the US Congress, its main features. Now, the topic related questions are: name the upper houses of the legislature of UK and the USA. Now, our full lecture was related to this topic only. The upper house of UK is House of Lords and upper house of USA is Senate. Name the two houses of the US Congress and that of the Indian Parliament. The two houses of US Congress are House of Representatives and Senate, and of India is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Next question is: what is the name of the legislature in UK and USA? Yes, legislature name in UK is a Parliament and in USA is a Congress. Next is: what are the special powers enjoyed by the upper houses of USA, UK, India? Just now I talked about the freedom of speech. They enjoy this power. Okay. Next is write a detailed note on comparison between US Senate and the Indian Rajya Sabha. You have to compare both upper houses of US and India. So you have to compare as far as their money bill introduction power is concerned and honorary bill is concerned and control over the executive is concerned. You have to compare both the houses. Then list the powers of between the US Senate and Indian Rajya Sabha. Now you have to tell which things are common between these two houses of USA and India. The first is their entry age, minimum age is the same. Then ordinary bill introduction is the same. But money bill modification is not same. This you are not to write. Ordinary bill is same. Okay. The next is list the differences of powers between the US Senate and Indian Rajya Sabha. So just now I was telling difference is of the money bill. Money bill, no doubt introduction cannot be done in the upper houses, but the US has complete power to make unlimited changes in the money bill. But Indian Rajya Sabha don't have this power. So this difference you have to tell as far as the money bill is concerned. And second difference is US Senate has complete control over the executive, means the president's all orders related to the signing of treaties, appointing the members of his presidential members committee, all this need the approval of the Senate. But as far as Indian Rajya Sabha is concerned, it has no such power. Next is write in detail about the comparison between US Senate and British House of Lords. Here we are to compare US Senate with British House of Lords. Means again the same way as we are compared Indian Rajya Sabha and US Senate, same way you will compare US Senate and British House of Lords. Means upper house, which powers do they have common? That's control or your introduction of ordinary bill, and which power they have not common, that is the US Senate has control. They can make any unlimited changes in the money bill, but British House of Lords can keep it just for 1 month. So these are the things when we compare them. Okay. So students, it completes my today's topic discussion, comparison of Senate with other upper houses. So I hope you are clear about today's topic. If and You will do these questions, topic related question, make neat and tidy notes, and watch the video again for clarification of your doubts. Next time I will continue the chapter. Okay, till then, goodbye. Thank you.